Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. My name is Jacob, and I am here with Libby today for our intro. Libby, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just little physical ailments is bothering me, but I'll probably be okay here soon. Other than that, doing all right. So for this Sunday's episode, Charlie is back on the mic and has an interview with Sonya, who is a Kratom addict like the rest of us and has been able to break free. I believe she's also a stand-up comedian, so that's kind of cool. A little bit of diversity. I don't think we've had a comic on the podcast before, so I'm looking forward to her interview. I'm excited for you all to hear it. For our intro today, we were going to keep it a little light. We've had some heavier intro topics recently, so we wanted to lighten it up a little bit. And we're going to talk about pets in recovery. So I'll get it started, I guess. I have a 8.5-year-old bulldog who I got when I was still, in the thick of drinking and using, and saw me got sober from alcohol. And then through all my Kratom ups and downs, I really just wanted to say that, I don't know, for me, humans can be a bit flaky and fickle, and sometimes I don't always fit in with everybody, but I found with dogs, or really any animal, but I have a dog, so I'm just going to speak about my own personal experience. There's non-judgmental love, and they can really tell, I think, when you're down or when you're depressed or when something's not right, and they have this caring kind of sense. So for me, it's been very helpful, I would say, to have another creature that is sober, because dogs don't drink or use Kratom. And, that is always there, that is loyal, and, is just able to kind of brighten up the day. So I think having a pet of some kind in recovery is a very rewarding journey. I know you're a dog owner, Libby, so how do you feel about it?
Yeah, when you texted me today about the topic, I was like, how perfect is that? Because it's actually my 1-year anniversary of, they call it the Gotcha Day with Oliver. He's a pit bull German Shepherd.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, I had him for a few months before I got off Kratom, but for me, it's been really supportive. I mean, I always had animals in my life, but having something that relies on me, like to go to the dog park, to get him out on walks, to make sure that I'm home when he needs to be fed. It's this built-in structure that's been really supportive for me. And there have been ways that it has been beneficial otherwise too, where I'm like, I have a dog park crew that I meet up with every morning, and I have built-in friendships in that way. And obviously having animals in my life has been really supportive just because of the unconditional love that you just spoke about. And I think that is really important, at least for me. But yeah, this built-in structure has also been really paramount. So not saying everyone going through Kratom sobriety needs to run out and go get a dog, but maybe you should consider maybe rescuing dogs. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you should, but you bring up a lot of good points. The routine's always really helpful in recovery, especially early sobriety. Being able to stick to a structure and all that is super helpful. And yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of pets that need homes that are struggling, just like many humans are struggling. But I think the flip side to that too is if you're not ready, if you're still kind of, in early sobriety, still figuring it all out, maybe don't run out and get a dog to rely on. Also, if you have kids and other things in your life, that is another responsibility you already have. So I think you got to think about all that. But I do think there's a lot of reward to having another creature in your life to take care of. I also related a bit to the service aspect of recovery. The animals can't fend for themselves, particularly pets, because they're domesticated. They don't have the skills to live in the wild. So they're super reliant on humans, and you have to be of service to them. Otherwise, they will not survive. So it's been kind of rewarding and helpful in that way too.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having to get out of yourself and go for a walk or go, it really keeps me moving in ways where I might get stagnant or stuck at home without a dog. And that's a dangerous place for me as an addict. So someone else relying on me has been really supportive.
Yeah, same. And the need to get out, and like you just said, it's also been supportive and helpful for me in my recovery.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening to this and you're a pet owner and you want to share some pics of your pet, whether that's a dog, cat, lizard, turtle, whatever you got, fish, send them along. I'd love to see them. And I think with that, we will get on to our interview this week with Sonya.
Hello, this is the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. My name is Charlie, and today I have a guest, Sonya, and this is going to be airing on Easter or 420. So whatever holiday you're particularly celebrating on this day, have a good Sunday. Welcome, Sonya.
Hello, thanks for having me.
How do you usually describe yourself when meeting someone new?
I guess I would just say that I am from Massachusetts, born and raised. I'm a licensing manager for a digital media company by day, and I am a comedian, stand-up comedian by night. I have a lot of other hobbies as well. I like to play guitar, music. I like to paint. But since I started doing comedy, I don't do any of those things anymore. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
I'm being nosy. What does a licensing manager do?
Oh, so basically I work remotely, fully from home, and I work with brands like, for example, SpongeBob, and it's my job to review all their digital assets through a portal, and then I plan to release all digital content like Samsung themes, sticker packs, watch themes, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool, pretty fun.
When you're not reviewing SpongeBob content during the day, what do you do with your free time?
I have a dog, so I hang out with him. I write a lot for stand-up. I also do a lot of side work, like editing, graphic design for local comics and whatnot. And I'm a producer. I produce comedy shows as well and for the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
We met through Instagram. You're doing a little bit of a tour right now, or is that just standard?
Yeah, I guess it's local, more local shows. So like I'll have like Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. I did just go on the road for a few shows with kind of a famous comic. His name is Damon Darling. And I did a few shows on the road with him. I went to North Carolina, New Jersey. So yeah, I'll probably do that again at some point. But right now I just kind of keeping it local.
So when is your Kratom quit date?
Let's see. I wrote down a month ago today, but it might have been the week before. So March, the week 3/7, I think it was 3/7/25. I might have wrote down the wrong date. So it's been like a month and a week.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm new. I'm newly off.
Yeah, well, the memories are fresh and you can give us remember the details that you still might remember things by the day or by the week.
Yes. Yeah.
Now I remember the months all merged together now,
Yeah.
So that's the good news is when you're going through it, it seems like you're going to remember every moment, and you do when you're going through with withdrawals. But with the long view, it just turns into another year, fortunately, of your
absolutely.
life. But well, when did you get introduced to Kratom?
So in 2021, I've said this to you privately, but full disclosure, I was into drugs, opiates mostly, and Suboxone for a very long time. And then in 2021, I decided to quit all drugs, substances, and I was struggling. I was having a really hard time getting back on track, going through withdrawals that lasted a lot longer than I intended. I had to go back to work. I was dealing with really, really debilitating anxiety to the point where I'd be like dry heaving and like not even throwing up, but just like the nervousness of it, like in my chest. It was during COVID and I had to work, and I was working at a dispensary actually, which is funny because this is the 420 episode. Yeah, I started Googling. Basically, I didn't want to take any pills. My doctors wanted to put me on antidepressants or whatever. And I said, no, I don't want any of that. And so I just kind of found my own remedy. And I came across Kratom on Reddit, actually. I did a little Google search and I found that it was sold in my city. I went to the store, I bought some capsules, and that was pretty much it. So it was in 2021 I started taking Kratom.
And was Kratom like an off-ramp from the other drugs, or was there some overlap with it?
I really didn't give myself enough time to be sober before I started doing Kratom. I think it was a matter of like 6 months, maybe, honestly, which isn't something I've actually said out loud to myself, I don't think. So yeah, I didn't give myself any time to heal from the damage that all the opiates did to my brain, my body. I just couldn't do it. I was just can't feel like this anymore. And I didn't want to take pills again. So, it was a last resort, I guess, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about it, really. I just found it, was like, oh, this is cool. This is a plant. This is natural. Perfect. No problems. It wasn't enough research even done then about it.
Why don't you tell us, how did you first get onto drugs originally, and what did you do to get off of them?
Sure. The first time I took drugs, pills specifically, I was actually really young. I was like 12 years old. I found my dad's Vicodins in his drawer. I took those and then didn't take drugs again for a very long time. I started dating a guy in my early 20s, and then he introduced me back into pills and opiates. And then after we broke up, I just continued to do them because I liked getting high. So early 20s until into my 30s, I was on and off way more on with opiates, but I also did a lot of other drugs in that time frame. I never did heroin per se. Obviously, opiates are same thing, I guess, in pill form. But other than that, I just did every drug you can imagine. I partied a lot, music festivals. I was in bands. I just went wild, basically. Then at some point, I decided to go back to school. Even when I went to college, I was actively on opiates. But I did really well in school because I was an art student. I would take pills and I would create things. I never did high doses of things. I always kept it really low if I could. And so I did well in school. And then after I graduated, I got jobs and I still did pills. And then at some point I was like, all right, I need to stop doing this. Start doing Suboxone, got addicted to Suboxone. I hate Suboxone. Ugh, so gross. I had such a bad experience on it. I know it's probably helped a lot of people, but I don't even like to think about it. My withdrawals from Suboxone were the worst that I've ever experienced, probably. But yeah, and then at some point in 2021, I said, I can't take this anymore. I'm miserable, depressed, hated my life. I needed to just stop. And I knew it. It was too long. It was over a decade of this, misery. So yeah, I went and told my parents. I said, hey, I am a drug addict. I don't want to be one anymore. And they were like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah. And then I went and told my job. I told my brother. I told my boyfriend at the time. Everybody that I needed to tell. And everybody was shocked. Nobody knew. Just to give you an idea of how good I was at hiding it. Nobody knew, not one person, except my best friend, probably. She was also into drugs, so how that goes. But yeah, and then I didn't even go to rehab. I literally decided to detox at my parents' house for 2 weeks with my dog. I did that. I took time out of work, and I did that successfully. It was tough, but I was around, my family, and I felt comfortable. Yeah, I haven't touched drugs, minus the Kratom, since April of 2021.
So that's going on 4 years.
Yeah, it'll be 4 years at the end of the month. I think it's April 23rd or something like that. But not too long after that, Kratom. So,
well, how did your Kratom use start off, and how did it escalate over time?
Yeah, so once I started with the capsules, I was so nervous to take them. I was scared. It's crazy that people do this. They're they do drugs for a decade, and then they're like, oh, this vitamin, I don't know how many of these vitamins I can take together. But obviously Kratom isn't a vitamin, but that's how I felt about it. I was nervous. So I started really small. I started with a capsule or two here during the day. I didn't even really notice a big difference. It didn't make me feel that great. I don't know if it was the strain that I was taking or what, but I was this isn't that cool, And then I would go back to the store and, I started asking questions to the guy that worked there. Hey, can you just point me in the direction? What do I want? What would you recommend? And he recommended the white vein Kratom, which gives you a boost, right?
Yeah.
There's a different strain. So the only kind I ever took was the white vein because I needed energy. I didn't want to take the red or the green, the sedative ones. I wanted to be energetic and active and high functioning. So I started just taking scoops, putting in water, drinking it. For a while, I did that. And I noticed a big difference once I started doing that because it wasn't portioned. It was taking too much, probably, right? I didn't even know how much was in a capsule. I still have no idea. I would try to figure it out and I was like, I have no idea, whatever. When I first started taking scoops of the white vein, I noticed it felt a lot like a Percocet. And I loved that. Truthfully, I was like, okay, I get it. I could do this, which was so bad to say, but it just reminded me of that high. And I loved it. I was hooked, immediately once I started feeling that way. And then from there, once my tolerance got a little higher, I like, oh, what are these bottles, and I started taking the extracts. I did extracts and then no powder, little sips I would take throughout the day. And then I moved on to last year, towards the end of last year, 7-hydroxy, whatever they're called. And I really like those as well. But then, I was like, this is just like my pill habit. This is insane. I went in a circle, like a crazy circle after 4 years, so it just really made me like think I've put in all that effort and work. And then I'm just back to where I started pretty much.
Did you start having financial consequences or health consequences? Did things start to get a little sketchy?
Financially, I'll say that yes, sometimes. I've always had jobs and money to support my habits. I've always paid my rent. So financially, it wasn't, I'm not going to lie, it hasn't been too bad because I wasn't taking a lot. Like I said, it was always like a 4-pack of the 7 tabs would last me like over a week, which isn't too bad. A 3-ounce bag of the powder would last me a couple of weeks. So financially, it wasn't too bad, but that stuff is expensive. But the guy at the store would always give me discounts. Also, I was like one of his favorite customers. Same guy that is opening the Kava Cafe. It's the same guy right behind my house that opened it. Yeah. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm fine. Just being friendly, because you form relationships with these people, There was one guy in there that was also a Kratom addict and he got clean. And I talk to him still because he like checks in on me like, hey, I'm so happy for you. Good for you. Yeah. I'm like, how do you work here and not do it? He was like, oh, I do Adderall instead. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Okay. I knew it.
Well, you mentioned that was one of the issues with quitting for you. It sounds like you're a relatively low dose, high functioning, your life isn't spiraling out of control. So it could be easy to justify continuing to use it.
Yeah.
But obviously you must have had some negatives.
Yeah. So I will talk about the health related issues you asked about before. I did feel like I was very unhealthy. My skin was really bad. My hair wouldn't grow. It just was like so bad. Like my hair, since I stopped, has grown like so much. It's insane. I have psoriasis and that was really bad when I was on Kratom. The elasticity in my skin has come back. It's insane. Like I'm a side sleeper. So I would get these, like I'd wake up with these giant wrinkles in my chest and I'm 37. So like, I know that's going to happen eventually, but I was like, I don't think this is normal. And as soon as like a few weeks after I was like done and it was like kind of out of my system, like I noticed my skin was just like better. It felt better. I wouldn't have been able to have like a normal conversation like this. Like I'm thinking clearly, I'm sharp. And as a comedian, being sharp and present is probably the most important thing that you need to be able to do on stage. So I did comedy for the first time off Kratom like a week after I stopped taking it. And I was like, this is insane. I can't believe I've never done comedy sober before, which is so bad to say, but yeah.
Oh, wow. That's going to be a whole new experience.
It has been. It has been. I'm much better. It's great.
Sometimes I was like, wow, I'm gaining 20 or 30 IQ points. I'm like 10 years older in emotional maturity, because my emotions would be more short fused. But a lot of people report like aging quickly and the hair and the skin issues are really common.
It was bad for me. My eyes were like dead eyes, like just I looked high and I would lie to people and be like, oh, I took an edible or something. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to get into I'm on Kratom. Well, what's Kratom? And it's just like a whole thing and I have to like explain it and like I didn't want to deal with that and I didn't want to worry people. So, a couple of people knew, but other than that, I just kind of kept it to myself, which I used to do back in the day when I took drugs. It's my own little secret.
Yep, it's this hidden double life thing again.
Yeah.
Well, was there a specific moment or a turning point that kind of crystallized things for you?
I think it was just waking up in the morning and just being like, ugh, I don't want to feel like this. I just felt empty, just like gross all the time. And even when I did take something, like towards the end, I would take like a piece of a 7-tab or whatever, any type of kratom. I was just like, it doesn't even feel good anymore. What am I even doing this for? Why? And I just wasn't doing well in any part of my life. I was slacking with comedy. I wasn't doing well at work anymore. And I was still taking kratom. And I was like, it's not helping me anymore. I think we're done here. And I'm pretty good at ending things when I need to end them. usually, if I feel I'm not getting anything out of it. So yeah, I think also I started doing more research. I started hearing a lot about people dying and just other people and their issues. I think I wrote this in the doc. I listened to an episode, Jason Ellis podcast, and it was all about the drinks. And that's how I heard about your podcast. So I listened to that episode and I was like, oh my God, like them talking about how bad their withdrawals were. I was scared. I was like, I can't go through this again. Like, why did I do this to myself? And then I started listening to your podcast and just hearing everybody's stories. I was like, all right, man, like I really need to get serious. And I got sick. I got a bad sinus infection and I could not get out of bed. I had no energy. I didn't even feel like doing kratom. I was like, I don't feel like doing anything. I can just stay in bed. So I was like, let's see how it goes. So I just stopped, threw away the rest of my powder, whatever I had, just got rid of it. A day went by, could not sleep that first night. It was really bad. And as the days progressed, I was just like, oh, okay, I can do this. But luckily I was able to take time out of work and just stay in bed and like be dead to the world. That was helpful.
Noah will be excited. He was the guest on Jason Elias' show that day.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
hoping he'll reach new people, and if he's listening, he'll be glad to hear that.
I think I follow him on Instagram.
Okay, he's on Instagram. He's the dog walker,
Yep.
And he had some really brutal withdrawals. And we have this issue in the quitting communities. Like, we don't want to scare people away from quitting, because if you portray that the withdrawals are really horrible, some people say they're scared to quit,
Yeah, for sure.
And the withdrawals are different for everybody, and it sounded like yours weren't horribly bad for you.
I think after the first week, I had restless leg syndrome, a little sweaty, but I had already started to like taper. I had already started lowering my dose of the tabs. I was taking probably like a quarter to a half, if that, a day. And then once I got sick, I just stopped. And I was taking like cold medicine, NyQuil, which I didn't know this, but I think you told me this. The NyQuil makes restless leg syndrome worse.
Yes.
Which I didn't know. So that first night was rough, man. Like I was like drinking NyQuil, like I just need to fall asleep, and it wasn't working. So I wish I would have known that. So anyone listening, be aware, NyQuil will not help.
Public service announcement, the ingredients that are in like any of the PM sleeping meds or NyQuil. I can never pronounce the ingredient, but it will make restless leg syndrome worse. I didn't have RLS, and it was like about a weekend that I took some. And we were traveling. We were in New Orleans from spring break, exactly almost like 2 years ago. I had the same reaction. So
yeah, tough.
But that is one of the tricks there, kind of a mindset thing, is like you actually had a cold, but some people say I have a head cold and I have to stay in bed for a couple of days and I got to take some time off of work and just think of it as a cold, but you literally had your immune system, your whole system was like rebooting.
Yes, exactly. And leading up to that, though, I had been telling the people who knew about it, I'd be like, I'm gonna quit kratom. I have to do it. I'm gonna do it. And I have a lot of friends who are very supportive, who check in on me, that are sober as well. A lot of comics are sober that I know. It's great. After my first week, I felt so good. And I just started doing more comedy and this and that. And then after my second week, I was still feeling really good. And then I think I just like did too much too fast and I got sick again. I felt like I got hit with the same sinus infection. And ever since then, I've been very fatigued. So I don't know if it's delayed reaction withdrawals or what, but I've been very, very tired lately. I just made a doctor's appointment. I want to get some blood work done because who knows? Maybe there is some long-term effects that I'm going through that I'm not aware of. I don't know. So I just want to get checked out to make sure, get some blood work done, and see if I've damaged any organs. I guess I don't know.
With the cold that you're having, and it could be a run-of-the-mill flu, but there are people, and I experience this, you have some lethargy, like a second wave, after the acute. Long term, you can have post-acute withdrawal syndrome or pause, and you're still like around a month. But kratom withdrawals aren't always linear. Sometimes you'll regress a little bit. And you will get these little pockets of like a pink cloud, and you feel like you're on top of the world, and then you go back a little bit. So it could be.
I think that's what's happening.
Because the kratom has also not the opiate receptors, but there's SSRI kind of like effects and the stimulant effects. If you're doing the whites.
Yes, that makes sense.
You're coming off, a mild stimulant too. But it was really smart of you to taper, like even a rapid taper really makes a difference. And I mean, you're a responsible tablet user taking half tabs. Some of the people I've talked to, they're taking 2 or 3 at a time, so.
I'm a lightweight. I wouldn't survive. I would just pass out probably. This same habits that I had with kratom are the same habits I had with taking opiates. Little doses. Usually towards the end of the day. I wouldn't even take things as soon as I wake up. I wouldn't do it when I first woke up. I'd wait till at least noon. I don't know. I just didn't want to take it first thing when I woke up because I wanted it to last until later, and I didn't want to have to take more. And that's what I would do with Percocets. So yeah, it was the same habits, same patterns.
Well, you mentioned that there's a Kava Kratom Cafe opening nearby. How are you dealing with that? Have they opened the doors yet?
They haven't opened the doors yet, but it's literally I can see it if I look out my window right here. It's right behind my house. It's my backyard. I haven't thought about it. I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go there, hopefully. I don't have plans to go there. We'll see when it opens, but I was pumped when I first heard about it a year ago. I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. I can just walk around the corner and get what I need. But yeah, it's not opening until now. It'll probably open next month, I think, or something like that. But yeah, I think I'll be okay. Hopefully. We'll see. Keep you posted.
What are you planning to do to work on recovery stuff? What kind of steps are you planning to do?
I did substance abuse counseling for a little while after I got clean from opiates. And now that I have health insurance again, I do think I would benefit from seeing a counselor, going back to my counselor. So I'm going to try doing that. Other than that, I don't really I'm not going to lie, I don't have a plan. I go with the flow. I'm not a big planner. I'm so busy doing comedy, working during the day and then doing comedy at night. I don't have a lot of downtime or free time. So we'll see how things go. I really don't have a plan. I probably should. I talk to a lot of friends. If I need to talk to someone, I have a lot of people I can reach out to. So no plan, really.
Okay.
Which probably isn't a good idea. Everybody listening, have a plan because I'm not the best person to take advice from.
Well, I mean, it's sort of related to the next question. You've called yourself this, and I've repeated it, that you're a high-functioning person. I'm still marveling at the small doses that you were doing. And that's one of the upsides of kratom is, for the most part, it's not as destructive for people's lives. They don't lose their jobs. They don't get in car accidents. They don't get arrested as high a rate as you would if you were doing drinking or doing heroin. But it's more subtle. It's more long-term. So in that way, it makes it harder to quit. And then if you want to reflect on that a little bit, how it affected your life in your decision to quit.
Yeah, I think as I started, transitioning from powder, because obviously when you have the powder, it's a whole project. Everybody knows that. But I worked from home a majority of the time. But if I went on a vacation, or if I went to New York for work, or Vegas for work, or Boston for work, I would have to bring my powder with me. And it's just it just sucked. So as I transitioned and I noticed I didn't need the powder for certain things like trips and whatnot, I would, use the extracts, and then the tablets made things just even more easier because it's so easy. You just take them, put them in a little thing, and you have them, So I think that's why I just continued to do things for so long, because it was just easily accessible, pretty cheap if you think about it, cheaper than what I was paying for actual opiates. That's pretty much it. Like, it was just easy for so long, and then eventually it just mentally wears on you and you're like, can't do this anymore. Even the small doses I was taking, I was feeling pretty bad.
And is this your first attempt at quitting? Did you try any previous times in the last couple of years to quit?
Yeah. I took a trip to Dominican Republic last June, and I didn't know if I could bring it with me. I ended up bringing like 2 bottles of the black bottles or shots. I forgot which ones they were, but I brought like 2 with me, and I was there for a whole week. Those lasted me a few days, whatever, 3-4 days. The last 3 days of my trip, I had no Kratom. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. I didn't know if I could buy some there. I had no idea. Yeah, I ended up getting pretty sick the first day, but I was just at the resort, so I would take like Imodium and Dramamine. I slept a lot, I remember that day. And then the next day, I was taking more Dramamine, Imodium, drinking because I was on vacation. And then by the 3rd day, I was actually feeling pretty good. And then as soon as I got home, I bought some more. I was like, oh, I could just keep doing this. But I didn't have it in my mind yet that I wanted to quit. I just had no choice. So I wish I would have kept not taking it at that time since I did make it 3 days. And then there had been a couple of other times where I just stopped taking it because I was just like, I'm just kind of over it. And then, a week would go by and then I would just start taking it again. It was more so oh, I'm going to take a break and then I'll start again. Or I'm going to take a break.
Yeah.
And I'll start. It wasn't a serious, I need to quit. So I think this was the first real attempt of actually quitting for good.
And I apologize. I didn't mean to minimize your use or how much trouble it was giving you.
Don't worry about it. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yes. And we do actually get emails. I have a very boring case of a Kratom dependency, but I haven't quit. So they say they can't relate to the extract users or people that dose all day, the month horrible withdrawals.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. Everybody is different.
I've been chatting with someone that you connected me with, and we talk every day. That's been pretty helpful as well. Just having somebody that was kind of in the same realm as me when it came to dosing and whatnot.
Oh, I forgot about that. How are they doing?
Good. It's not my business to talk about.
It's their story.
Yeah.
I need to outreach to them. So
you should for sure.
Well, you joke about in your comedy your addiction, and you talk about it publicly with your audiences. How does that affect your healing, or how do you integrate your humor with your everyday life?
Sure. I think that as a comedian, not all comics decide to be vulnerable on stage and talk about themselves, but I feel like I've been through a lot, and again, I like to joke about it. So for me, it just works. And so the whole first 4 or 5 minutes of my routine is I talk about my drug issues. And I think it is also a way to relate to specific people in the audience, because the chances that nobody in the audience has had a drug addiction is pretty slim. So at least I'm going to be relating to somebody. And I don't take it too seriously. People like to hear about other people's issues. That's just facts, right? That's why people watch reality TV. Yeah. So I think that people enjoy it when you are more vulnerable and you're making fun of yourself, right? Yeah, I love it. I think it's just my style of comedy. Not everybody is into it, but I am. So I'm going to keep doing it. I haven't made any Kratom jokes yet during my set, which is something that I really want to do, because now it's being more recognized and more people know about it. But I think before, when I first started a little over a year ago doing comedy, I don't think it was as well known, but I would like to start adding some Kratom jokes into my routine now that I've been through this,
That's good that you bring this up, because I was thinking about this before the interview. There's kind of 3 areas I was thinking that might be work for Kratom humor. One would be body jokes, about constipation and throwing up, something about hugging the throne, or
there's a lot.
The second would be maybe about, well, why couldn't I get addicted to a real drug kind of jokes.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people call Kratom gas station heroin. Which is so funny because, I mean, it kind of is, I guess. You know what I mean? It's just it's so funny. But yeah, there's a lot. And I'm going to work on it for sure. And I will send you something once I.
The gas station, the industry, they've been working on this about the gas station things. Like, well, modern gas stations are the grocery stores of America today. And you can buy anything. You can buy sushi at gas stations. Well, I recommend don't buy your sushi or your drugs at a gas station.
If somebody is buying sushi from a gas station, they have bigger issues than Kratom addicts, truthfully.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's diabolical.
Yeah. And then the last set of jokes would be maybe like they promised me like FDA payments, and I'm a big pharma shill, and all I got was I went half bald.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. But anyway, so well, thank you. You gave us one meme, and it was the most like we don't have much of a social media game for the podcast, so we got like 15 likes that day, which was like almost that was the closest as we went viral.
Good. I'm happy. I'm happy about that. Yeah, that was it was the first one I made. I just like my friend is a meme page at Spinal Meningitis, it's called. And he has like a huge following, and he's constantly posting memes, and we're always sending memes back to each other. So it's just one that I've seen a lot. It's like a really popular one. So that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, I'll go to the more popular memes, and I could probably do like a little bit with it. Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. I'm glad you posted it. I'll make more.
All right, switching gears to a little bit more fun.
Sure.
So on a lighter note, if you had to go anywhere in the world on a dream trip, where would that be?
Norway. I want to go to Norway. I just got my passport last year when I went to Dominican Republic, so now I have it. And my great-grandmother was from Oslo, Norway. So I am Norwegian, and I would like to go visit Oslo probably, or anywhere really in Norway. I'll just go. It's just somewhere that I've always wanted to visit. So I think that would be my first stop.
Cool. Tell us about Chuck, your dog.
Chunk, he's a big guy. He's a 60-pound American bully. Yeah, he's great. He's the best. He's my guy. You know, he's one of my reasons that I really wanted to quit Kratom as well, because I just wasn't feeling motivated to do anything. And, you know, he deserves the best version of me, obviously.
Did you find yourself shortening your walks or not going as many walks?
Yeah, just like being lazy, you know. Yeah, I'll admit it. You know, he doesn't deserve that. He deserves the best of the best. So
like the Kratom makes you do shortcuts, you know, and
yeah, and I'd be staying in bed, you know, way too long, and you know, just
the bed rot. It's
big time. That was bed rot. That's what it's called. Yeah, that was me for sure. And working from home, like I would just have my laptop in bed, working for hours. I'm like, ugh, you know, just you gotta get out of bed in the morning. You know,
yeah,
you gotta get out.
It is so nice, the freedom of not having to commute and work at home, but
yeah,
there's some downsides to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you saw a concert at Fenway.
Yeah, so a few live events. I'm a musician first. I've been playing guitar, singing, playing piano since I was like 12, 13. I've been in bands, whatever. So I've always been obviously into like live music. My first memorable concert was probably when I was 12. I saw Blink-182 at Suffolk Downs in Boston, 2001. For the first time, and it was incredible. They were my like favorite band, still kind of are. So that was very memorable because when you're 12, you don't really do things like that. And I begged my parents to let me go, and finally they let me go with my aunt and uncle. It was incredible. Like crowd surfed, you know. It was just really cool. And then as I got older, I liked different types of music, and I went to Bonnaroo when I graduated high school. Did not belong there. I was like 18. I wasn't old enough to drink. I took mushrooms for the first time, watched Radiohead, and I was like, okay, I love being an adult, you know? And then I saw Blink-182 at Fenway, $428 for a ticket I paid to be in the pit at Fenway for Blink-182 because that's how much I love them.
Well, that checks out. Somebody born in the late 80s, all those bands, so... How would you describe yourself today? Describe your life. I guess yourself and your life today off Kratom, 5 weeks off.
Off Kratom now, I feel happier for sure. I feel more motivated, more excited to do comedy now that I'm not on Kratom because it's just like a different world up there. Like I said, like I'm more present, I'm more focused. I feel better physically. I look better. I should have sent you a picture. I have like before and after. Like I could send you a picture of when I was like really on Kratom, and then like a picture I took the other day. It was just like, what a difference. Yeah, so just everything has gotten better. Besides the fatigue, and the first thing I think of is like, oh, I'll just do a quick Kratom fix. I won't be tired anymore. But again, quick fix. We don't want a quick fix, I think that's been kind of a struggle with the whole fatigue thing. I'm just like so tired all the time, whatever. But hopefully that passes. And I've been taking a nap in the middle of the day. That helps for sure. Sleeping is getting better. Being able to wake up in the morning and like open my eyes and not have to use eye drops has been big, because I was carrying eye drops with me all the time because my eyes were always like red and glossy and, cloudy. So that's been kind of cool, not having to do that. My appetite is better now. Before, I just wasn't eating well. I didn't care to eat good, it didn't matter to me. So I think there's just a lot of things. Everything has pretty much gotten better, I'd say. Yeah.
That's great. And fairly quickly, some positive rewards. And lethargy is a common symptom, but I know it's not permanent. When you have some caffeine, does that help, or is it like the caffeine doesn't seem to be working?
That's why I went to Dunkies real quick before this interview. Yeah, caffeine helps, but I don't drink energy drinks. I'll have coffee. I had a coffee this morning, and then this is like my second one. So water, I try to stay as hydrated as possible. I do take supplements sometimes, like memory enhancement or like brain, whatever. Sometimes those help as well. I started taking more vitamins. I need to take more vitamins. I just need to I'm not consistent with anything in my life. So a big struggle for me has been trying to get into like a routine, a healthy routine. I have a membership to the gym. I barely go. When I do go, I sit in the sauna and I leave. So I don't know. I just need to work out and just be healthy.
That's the number one suggestion people say they get the most upside from moving your body. It'll pay off. So yeah. And I still struggling. I was doing really good last year. Then the winter came, and then it's April now. So spring is here. It's time to
get moving. And also the weather in Massachusetts has been awful. Rainy, cloudy, cold. Nobody wants to do anything in this weather. So I am looking forward to, today it was nice and sunny out for the first time. I'm looking forward to that. I just think it's like a lack of like vitamin D. I need some sun, I'm going to Vegas in May for work. So that'll be fun. Get away for a week. Yeah.
Well, is there anything we didn't ask you about that you'd like to tell the audience as we're closing up and winding down here?
I feel like we covered a lot. I did experience some issues drinking on Kratom. I don't know if anyone has talked about that, but don't do it. Especially the 7-tab. I didn't know you weren't really supposed to drink on those. And I was in Boston one night and I did a show and I had been drinking on the tabs and I got so messed up, drunk fast. And I had only had 2 beers and I almost got into a car accident. I had to go to my friend's house and crash. I couldn't drive home. So just as just be careful. Don't drink on Kratom because it's dangerous. I guess in my own experience, that's what happened. So
we had one guest that got a driving while impaired ticket. I think it was some extracts and some drinking. So
I couldn't even keep my eyes open.
I imagine with the 708 tabs,
it's worse. I guess it's more intensifies it a lot more. And I didn't know at all. I was maybe I knew a little bit, but I didn't know to what extent. And I literally couldn't keep my eyes open and I almost crashed my car and it was tough. So not good.
And then the other aspect is, some people are not alcoholics, so, they can have a beer or two, but
yeah,
the other issue with Kratom and drinking is it can make your withdrawals worse if you overdrink during the withdrawal period. And I've heard a handful of people get hung over from doing a little bit of drinking, and then their defenses were down, and then to get over the hangover, they used Kratom, and then that started the cycle up.
Yeah, I think Kratom is the closest I've come to curing a hangover ever, and I'll stand by that. I don't want that to motivate people to do it when they're hungover, but I've never been a huge drinker, but last year there were some nights where I drank too much and I felt awful the next day, and then Kratom would kind of fix it. In a way, almost fully, which was kind of crazy. But
I mean, that's when I get the most urges is jet lag or a night where I didn't sleep right. So it feels like a hangover.
Yeah.
Or not a stomach cold, but just kind of having a body cold. Well, do you have any advice if somebody was listening today, a big takeaway that you had from your quitting experience, something you wish you would have known when you first started, whatever you think would be the best advice you could give?
If you are feeling like you want to quit or need to quit, like if you're at that point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, or I need to like stop, just do it. If you can take time out of work and just do it, just do it. It's worth it. Don't wait. I can say that. Don't wait. Don't keep putting it off, because I've done it. Everybody does it. I'll just wait. I'll just wait. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just get it done. It's going to suck, obviously. I think a big thing that helped me was I started taking a magnesium supplement powder, the brand Calm, a scoop before bed every night. That really helped with like muscles and like my body and sleeping. So I suggest doing that. I was taking, like, to help me sleep as well, 5 milligram edibles. Like if you're into weed, which I'm not, I don't even smoke weed, but like that helped me a little bit, you know. But other than that, once you can get through, depending on how much you're taking, get through like the first few days, you can get through longer for sure. Just be strong, stay positive.
I think there's some upsides, and delaying it will prevent you from getting to the benefits of quitting. So
yeah, just try, just do it. That's it. I mean, there's no other way to say it. If you do need rehab, do it. If you think you can't handle it, but try it on your own first, I would say. You know, just lock yourself in your house and just sweat it out if you can.
And like you did, if you can taper, even a rapid taper,
taper.
Don't quit from your top dose.
Taper if you need to taper for a week if you can, or 2. Yeah, start taking small doses, just enough to get by, and then it'll definitely help. It's a fact. Science.
And the collective lived experience of many people. But some of us, when we get any little bit amount of kratom in us, we ramp it up, But for those who are all or nothing, because part of when I quit, I also was like, okay, this is my last day. This is my last time. So I'm going to really.
Oh.
That made it way worse.
Yeah, it's way worse.
Yeah, that excessiveness made it a lot worse. So, well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And thanks for reaching out to the show. We have had some demand for somebody with your sort of profile. So we'll be able to finally present that to the audience. So I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Sonya, and good luck, and keep in touch.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.